Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. Kentucky just took another one on the chin, another loss. Might as well do it. It's a good time for a big fuss.
Can I please have your attention?
There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
All right, guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. I'm here to do a little bit of the big fuss. I probably am doing this one solo. So if anybody wants to jump on with me, that would be great. Jump on in the chats or something like that. That would be great. But welcome in. It's Brad with College Sportscast. Normally we do the Big Fuss Show here on Tuesday nights. And that is what I'm doing here. We're at week 24 of season 3. And I appreciate you guys being with me. So if you're on Facebook with us, you can help support us by sending stars, or you can subscribe to our page. It's only 99 cents a month. It does give you your own chat just for subscribers, and it gives you your own subscribers page that I post things on as well. And again, it's only 99 cents a month. Yes, Riley. I am in full concern mode as well. To be quite honest with you, I agree with you. There is some major concerns that is going on with this team, and normally we do debate topics and stuff like that here on the show on Tuesday nights, and it's called the Big Fuss Show. But tonight, the Big Fuss Show is going to be about a post game with Kentucky basketball and the way they played. And I'm not going to just dig right into it. I'm going to start out, guys, by talking about the first half and the way this team played. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This was about as brutal of a first half that I can remember. Only a few times ever, and I've been watching Kentucky basketball since about 81-ish. This is about as brutal of a first half that I can remember. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was looking at Corey Price, who was on with us a week or so ago, 10 days ago or so. He was on with us on our Big Blue Hoops Cast show. And Corey posted at halftime that the 23-point deficit was the third largest halftime deficit in an SEC game ever. Easy for me to say. It's the third largest halftime deficit in an SEC game by Kentucky ever. There was only 2 other games that was larger than 23 points. That's ever in the history. Kentucky's been in the SEC since 1933. I mean, just an absolute brutal first half. That's all I can say. They were down 23 points at the end of the first half. They give up 54 points, and if a guy don't miss a free throw at the end, it would have been 55 in the first half. Yeah, Riley, ouch, not good at all is right. John, I sent you a thing. You can jump on if you want. So that's up to you. But you have an invite to jump on. But Riley, 100%, not good at all. listen, Patino was 14. No, he was 14-14, to be fair, in his first year. Pope had no one on his roster to start with. You got to give him some time. Listen, I didn't even start by that. I started by talking about how brutal the first half this was. I have never really witnessed, Ole Miss had not scored 90 points against the Cats since 1971. That was the last time we have given up more than 90 points to Ole Miss. It was 1971. I got to talk a little bit about the non-existent defense on this team. I mean, offensively, it wasn't terrible. We didn't play terrible offensively. I'm not saying it was great, but it wasn't bad, to be honest with you. We wound up with 84 points. We had some players that had some pretty good games, and I will get to that. But here's the thing, guys. Defensively, it was absolutely brutal. We were on pace to give up 110 points. They missed a free throw, would have been 108 points in this game. They wound up scoring 98. So we played a touch better in the second half. But the defense on this team, the last few games, it's brutal, honestly. It's absolutely brutal. Raleigh says, I wasn't even watching the game. I was seeing everyone's comments in the Pope's Cats groups on Facebook, and it was really bad in there. Yeah. I can only imagine. I was not in the groups, but I know what group you're talking about. But I can only imagine. Shane, the first half was brutal. That's the only word that you can use for it. It was absolutely brutal. I'm telling you, it was the third largest halftime deficit in an SEC game ever. Ever. We've been in the SEC since 1933. That's a long time. We're approaching 100 years. Okay? Madeline, good to see you here with us. There's some major concerns. Absolutely, 100%. Now, my next question to you guys that's on with me is this. Is Butler being out hurting the defense that much? I mean, I know Butler is a good defensive player. I know that he is probably one of the top 2 or 3, point guard defensive players in the country. But is the head being out on top causing that much? Just because we have went from I would think that, we were decent defensively for a little while. And the last 5 or 6 games has just been brutal. And Butler being out tonight was, you could see it on the floor as the first half was happening, just how little defense this team was playing and the way they were scoring at will. We didn't even have to, there was no rebounding much in this game because they hit everything. Well, look at there. John Hammonds is on anyway. What's up, Hammonds? Your mic's muted, but.
I was finished up eating.
Okay. So let's see. I'm going back, trying to look at some of the comments we have because we have several people on here with us, quite a bit really, right now. So have no idea. Oh, wow! This is Deja's mother.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. I'm talking about the men's game. Uh, That's who absolutely. I greatly enjoy covering the girls, covering the women's team. Deja's playing great. She's having a great year. And I gotta give you a shout out here on College Sportscast. I greatly appreciate you being with us. Deja's playing great. The girls are playing great. And I absolutely love the way they're playing. So I just got to give you a huge shout out being with us here on College Sportscast. Appreciate you. I can't wait to cover them some more. To be honest with you, just found out today, actually, I am officially going to the SEC tournament, women's tournament, and we'll be covering that in Greenville. So maybe I'll get to meet you in Greenville because I know you're a North Carolina. In North Carolina, maybe you can go down to Greenville and be a part of the SEC women's tournament, and maybe I'll get to meet you. But thank you for being with us here at College Sportscast.
I'm gonna get my 2 cents, and I told you I don't. There's certain things I go off the deep end about.
Well, first of all, wait a second. Talk about what I was talking about here. Is Butler being out hurting our defense that much?
I don't think so. And I say that because you go on the road and you beat Tennessee on the road, right? You go to Gonzaga and you go to Gonzaga in Seattle and you beat Gonzaga without him. You got Jackson Robinson playing point. My coach always used to say, I'm going to shout him out tonight. Jeff Frost, if you're out there, he was my grade school coach. And he always used to say, him and another coach, assistant, defense is all about effort. And rebounding is all about effort. And if you're not willing to do that, then basically you're unplayable.
100%. I hope to meet you and I hope to get to talk to you.
I think another thing that really concerns me about this team is their ball screen defense. Every time they go under the ball screen, they leave somebody wide open in the corner or on the side. And they don't go out to get to the shooter, and they leave guys wide open all night long. That's a problem. I don't know what coach does during practice. I'm not there. I mean, you don't know what's there. But there's some major deficiencies with this defense. And I'm going to say this out loud, and I might upset some folks, and that's fine. But Colin Chandler has no business playing at the SEC level right now. And I mean that in a nice way. He does some really good things, but he's a liability. You know, he threw the ball away twice tonight. He threw the ball away against Tennessee, gave him an open layup. Like, the kid has been away from basketball for what, a year, Brad?
No, 2 years.
2 years. And he just looks like he's never played a game in his life. And that's not fair to him to throw him out there and put him in that position and make him look like a fool. And I'm not saying that's not what Coach – I think Pope wants to give him time and give him some lessons to play. But I also think you can't throw a kid in there in that type of environment like Tennessee and Ole Miss and expect that kid to go off for 20, 30 points because he's just not great. And I think you know, and I know this is another topic everybody's going to get mad about. I think Trent Noah should be the guy coming in over him. And Trent
Noah played
barely,
some tonight,
but
he really didn't. But he really didn't contribute anything. He got some minutes, but he really didn't contribute.
And that's no hate on Colin
He didn't
Chandler.
even get a rebound.
And that's not a hate on Colin Chandler. I'm not hating the kid. I just think where he's at with his deficiencies. Now, he done a few good things against Arkansas. He kind of done some good things on John L. Davis where he couldn't get loose a couple of times. But, man, that's hard. Brad, you're putting a kid in there that's a freshman, and I know he's probably doing it to get him for next year. But you're throwing him to the wolves right now against these good teams.
I mean, listen, John, you're talking about something that, in my opinion, had no bearing on this game. Very little. I mean, what little bit of playing time Colin Chandler and Trent Noah got tonight, neither one of them had much bearing on what happened in this game. Why we gave up 54 points, why we were down 23, why we wasn't playing any defense. I don't think that really had much bearing on this game.
Well, he's throwing too many lineups out there. He's just throwing things at a wall and hoping it's going to stick. Well,
maybe he's searching for what is going to stick. I mean, coaches do that.
Yeah, but you don't. If a guy's really hot, like say for instance the Arkansas game, okay, Jackson Robinson's hot, Kobe Bray is shooting, you jerk them out, and then you put Travis Perry and those other guys in. Like you're messing up with continuity by doing that. Like and chemistry when you jerk guys out of the game in that time frame.
I mean, let's get to the meat of all this for me tonight. I mean, let's get to some health. This team, if they're going to get back to what they were, this team has simply got to get healthy. Guys, we have lost 4 of the last 5 games. We are 5-6 in the last 11. And all I've heard was Kentucky's resume is so good and they're not going to fall past this and they're not going to fall past that. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the resume is an illusion because the way they are playing as a team, the last half of the season, it's been half of the season. They are playing like crap. And I don't even know that if they don't fix something and get healthy and fix something, I'm not worried about the 9, 10, and 11th guy off the bench. I'm going to be honest with you. Right now, I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about the top 8. They better dig down and find some defense and get healthy. I don't know what's going on with Butler, but he's got to get back out on the floor.
Well, I've heard 2 different stories that his shoulder is hurt to the point to where he might have to have surgery, and if they don't give him and if he does have surgery, he has to end his season, and if he does come back, he's going to have to play through it. And at this point,
Riley, Owe had a good game. We had a few players, and I'll get to that. Owe had a good game. I'm not gonna knock the game he had as far as offensively and the effort and stuff on that side of the ball. I'm not gonna knock the game he had at all. But I'm gonna tell you guys right now, if this team doesn't find the heart to play some defense, they're in trouble. Big time. I mean, to a point where if we keep stumbling in the SEC here, I mean, guys, let's just say, for instance, we finished the SEC 7-11. The way we're playing, it sure looks like it. I don't know. I mean, do we make the NCAA tournament? I don't even know that we do. That's why I said illusion. Because the way they're playing, if they don't fix it, we may not even make the NCAA tournament.
Well, somebody made a post tonight about Pope. It said, let me see if I can find it. Mark Pope needs to learn how to coach defense. It said it's going to be the downfall of this Kentucky team. They are too talented to be this pathetic on the defensive end.
Well, no, see, listen. In reality, when this season started, I think most of us would have been okay with 8 or 9 regular season losses and a Sweet 16 team. Because I don't think any of us, listen, guys, we have lived with the kind of talent that Calipari has brought in here for the last 15 years. And I don't think any Kentucky fan is going to look at this team and say that we have the best talent in the country. I think we have a good collection of players.
Individual players.
I think we have a good collection of individual players that, if healthy, they could come together and make somewhat of a decent run. Maybe get to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that this team was built. That's another reason why I'm calling the first 11 games an illusion. Because it has made Kentucky fans somehow think that we should be a top 5, top 3 team in the country. Let's slow our roll a little bit. This is Pope's first season. He put together a team in a couple of months that had 0 players on it. However, watching a game like tonight is brutal. It's brutal because it wasn't the offense, it was the defense. When you're on pace to give up 110 points at halftime, you're not winning. I don't care who you're playing, guys. You're not winning. I don't care if it's at home, I don't care if it's away, and I don't care who you're playing. It's really that simple. There is no way on the face of this earth, if you are on pace to give up 110 points, that you're going to win a ball game. It's just not going to happen. And you have to figure out how to play a little bit of defense. If you don't, this team is toast. Let's be honest. Jonathan, I will say this. The second half was better. We got beat by 14. We were down 23 at halftime. And if we wasn't fouling when we were still down 12, 13 points with a minute to go and putting them on the free throw line, we might have cut this to an 8 or 9 point game. But for some ignorant reason, we're still fouling, which I couldn't figure out. You're down 13 with a minute to go and you're fouling, putting them on the free throw line. Why? Can somebody explain that to me? They wind up pushing a 11-point game back out to like 16 because we're putting them on the line.
The biggest thing that I get aggravated, I said it with Pope, is some of his calling shows. He's always apologizing for losing. Well, they're heartbroken. They can't figure things out. Like, figure it out. Like, quit telling us and do it. That's my thing. Quit telling us that they're upset all the time in the locker room, and they feel like that they can't get everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, quit telling us all these sob stories and go out there and win. Is my issue.
All right, I'm going to switch it up just a little bit.
I mean,
I'm going to give Amari Williams some flowers, man. Like, I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. He's probably the only center in the history of Kentucky basketball, and I don't know this. I'm gonna look it up, and maybe Corey Price has said something. If you go look at his page, I don't know, but Amari Williams had a triple-double tonight, guys. He had 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. 10 as a center, and he's been taking a beating from fans. And I'll be honest with you, he's the best player on the floor the last 4 or 5 games while all these injuries have been going on. And it's not even close. I have never seen a center that can come on the floor when your point guards are out and play like I've seen a 6'9" guy by the name of Magic Johnson be able to play the point like he did and then play center. I don't know that I've ever seen a center that could come out and play the point like Amari Williams has done. And I'm talking NBA or college. Like, seriously, Amari Williams is playing insane right now, in my opinion. And if he's still going to be taking a beating from fans, y'all have lost y'all's mind, because without him, the last few games, we would have been demolished. So the players that are playing good, Amari Williams is playing fantastic from the center spot and doing what he's doing while Butler's out. Jackson Robinson had a good game. Oweh had a good game, had 24 points. I think Robinson, John, had 18. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The problem is nobody else hardly done anything. Almanar had 0. Didn't even take a shot. Y'all let that settle in your brain for a second. He didn't even get a shot. I mean, it's kind of insane. All right. Jonathan says, does anyone see a problem with Kobe Bryant being a bit of a ball hog sometimes and taking horrible shots? No, not really. Not really. I mean, I think he misses a lot of shots in the lane. I will say that. Corey Reynolds says, at least we didn't lose by 50. Well, at halftime, it kind of looked like we might. So, and Madeline says, thank you. We'd be in deep trouble without Amari Williams. I'm telling y'all, I don't know. I've been watching basketball for a long time. And I have seen other players play other positions. I don't know. I cannot recall a 7-foot center. John, you've watched a lot of basketball. Do you ever remember seeing a 7-foot center come out and play point guard and then get a triple-double in his third game? And he almost got one the other night. This is his almost second one already.
One of them's on here watching right now, Hallie Collins. She's a pretty good sized girl, and she plays up point sometimes. Now I'm joking with her, but all joking aside, I've never seen a 7-footer come out to the perimeter and just dribble the ball around and try to open,
and be the passer and lead the offense. And like he had 10 assists tonight.
Yeah. See, my biggest issue with this team, Brad, is it feels like there's no chemistry at all, like on the offensive end. Like, especially look at the first half, okay? They was just throwing stuff at the goal and hoping it would stick.
How does Ansley Almanar get 0 shots?
I don't know. That's a no. I don't know. Maybe I don't know, Brad. Like, there's something.
Can somebody explain that to me? Because I don't get it.
My biggest issue with tonight, Brad, was their body language. They got down.
Well, they did better in the second half.
Well, I know.
The first half was
half. They get down 12-4. Their body language was like
it was terrible.
I don't even want to be here.
They did, and they played like they didn't want to be there.
And Jimmy Dykes brought up a good point. I think it was, I don't know if it was during the game or before. He said that they did not look in tune during shoot around. Said they was just it was not a good shoot around. There's something deeper here, Brad, I think, going on besides point guard. Deeper I'm not saying maybe somebody's jealous one. I'm not saying that. Like, there's something deeper going on here in this locker room that nobody's telling.
I'll tell you my biggest. You said your biggest concern. Let me tell you what my biggest concern is tonight. Besides, I've been talking about how awful this defense was. Okay, and besides giving up the points and letting the team shoot out 65% or whatever the hell they wind up shooting, way too much, 50-something from 3-point line and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, and this is kind of an astonishing stat. I have watched hundreds of thousands, if not a million or more, basketball games, including little kids, middle school, high school, college, NBA. I have seen so many basketball games in my life. And I'm going to tell you a stat that will tell you just how bad defensively Kentucky played tonight. Okay? Ole Miss played an entire game and had 1 turnover. 1 damn turnover. How does that happen? Have you ever heard of that in your entire life? How in the hell does a team play an entire game of basketball and have 1 turnover?
That tells me, you know what that tells me, Brad? That we're not locked in defensively. Like, there's That's a wild stat.
That is a wild. I have never heard of it
I
in
mean,
my entire life, man.
That's to me, that's insane. I'll be honest. Like
That tells you just how bad of a defensive effort was put on this floor tonight in Oxford, Ole Miss. I mean, I've never seen it. It's an absolute wild stat.
here's something else.
They had. Let me even go one step further, John. They had 24 assists and 1 turnover.
But Brad, another thing.
I have never in my life heard of such a stat ever.
Something that I preached on it against Arkansas. I preached on it tonight. This is 2 games, Brad, in a row, okay, where he's not had his team ready to play. And he don't know which adjustments to make as the game goes. I'm going to say this, and I know people's probably going to get mad at me. That's all right. But I'm going to go from the old Rick Pitino tree here and just say something. And, I'm just going to say it, Brad. Pope needs to start putting some foot in some people's AWS and cuss a little bit and stop being the nice guy. And literally just
Steven, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Play pissed off, more or less. And I'm not saying that to say to jerking. Wow. Oh goodness.
Shut up, Marvin.
Oh, he always has to come in at the wrong time.
He comes in at the end always.
At the end. But
yeah.
Here's my thing. Pope needs to play pissed off. Like, I feel like Brad, he's too nice. He's too soft with these kids. And I think he needs to do his old Rick Pitino thing.
Corey, you got to play some defense to keep a team from shooting 65%. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, and there was a couple shots in that game where we had good defense, like the Brea shot where Brea had his hand in his face and he hits it. Yeah, man. But I just think Pope's gotten too easy with these kids. I think he needs to.
If you watch our show, you would know what this was about. But
yeah, the Friday night tongs. But I just think he needs to be a lot more rough on these kids and just put his foot up there.
Yeah, but that's not his demeanor, man.
But it's not what
he's going to do.
I understand that, Brad. But sometimes you have to make a point.
There's not going to be a sometimes with him. The only way that's ever going to happen, John, is if he has an assistant coach that has that demeanor. And I don't think right now on the staff that he does. I mean, maybe Jason Hart, but I'm not sure.
Corey, he said, what do y'all think changed since the 10th? I don't think nothing really changed. I just think Kentucky was hot and Tennessee couldn't hit. That was basically it. Tennessee missed their open shots that they normally hit, and we hit everything. And that's how we won the game.
We hit everything. We only scored 78 points.
But what I mean, it felt like we hit a lot of shots in that game. But Tennessee missed majority of their shots that they probably normally would hit in Knoxville. And it happens. But I'm going to tell you, Brad, moving forward here,
I still can't get over the 1 turnover. 24 assists and 1 turnover.
I'm going to say this real quick. Wyman, I get where you don't have a point guard, and I can understand that to an extent, but that don't make up for the lack of effort and the excuse that they did the first half. None whatsoever. I get you're without a point guard. I know sometimes not having a point guard is tough, but that don't excuse
No, sometimes not having a true point guard on the roster right now is it. I mean, it's always tough. You could take any team, and take away their point guard, and they're
No,
going to
but
be a
see, Brad,
completely
that's not
different team.
that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to tell you that they don't excuse the lackadaisical, no energy, and putting the blame on a point guard for being out. Like, I understand he's out, but that don't excuse no effort and not trying to at least get out there and play. You know what I mean? Like, I get where Wireman's talking about, well, it's a big deal. It is a big deal, but it don't excuse the lackadaisical stuff that went on in the first half. Like, they acted like they was ready to get on the bus back to Lexington.
I think late. I mean, the last 5-6 minutes of the first half, I think they were ready to get on the bus. They played that way.
Just say, get me out of here. I don't want to be here anymore.
I mean, honestly, let's be honest. They played that way in the first half. Now, I will give whatever Pope said at halftime. I mean, and tried to pick them up, even though they were getting their hind ends like beat. I mean, they did play a better second half and got close to cutting this to a single point game a couple of 2 or 3 times. And
thank you, Stephen Decker. I just now seen what he
said.
Yeah,
I said thank you on that one.
Thank
Put
you.
it up there.
I'm not the most knowledgeable guy, but I like to think I'm the brains of the operation.
Anyway, guys, I'm not gonna like keep on with this game. I mean, we
did you even hear what I said, Brad?
No.
I said I think I'm the brains of the operation here when it comes
to whatever. I'm not going to sit here and just beat a dead horse on it all night. I mean, the game's over.
Can I say something?
They're struggling. Wait a second. They're struggling, and I'm going to be honest with you. This team's going to have to get healthy. I don't think right now, if we can't get a Butler back or a point guard back on the floor, I think this team's in trouble. I know, John, you just said you don't think it's going to make that big of a, that it wasn't that huge of a deal. I think this team's in trouble if they can't get a point guard back on the floor. I'm not sure what's going on with Kirk Carissa. I have heard some reports on either way on him. I just saw a report today that he could be 2 weeks away. But I've also been hearing that he's trying to see if he can come back next year through the NCAA.
I want to say this real quick before we kind of end this show, Brad. Moving forward, I said, what was it, yesterday, day before? I said that they need to show some fight. And, first half they never showed much. Now, second half they played with a little bit better. Ole Miss missed some shots there. They got it. I think they cut it to 11 at one point.
Twice. They got it to 11 twice.
And Ole Miss kind of pushed it back out.
But getting it to 11 – wait a second. Getting it to 11 when you were down 27 on the road, that's some fight. That's all I'm going to say.
Wireman said that goes back to the early 80s about the one turnover thing. That's from Big Blue history.
I've never heard of it, Wireman. I not just Kentucky. I have never seen or heard of a basketball game where a team only had one turnover. Never. And that goes to show you just how awful of defense they played tonight.
I'm gonna say this as we move forward here. Like I said the last week or yesterday that that they needed to bring the effort. Well, like I said, they're Their effort wasn't there first half. It was second half. Well, last week, Brad, I said the same thing about Tennessee, okay? Remember they lost it. They lost it home to Kentucky. Because I said this 2 or 3 times on the Big Fuss and the Pick'em show. I said
But
this
that
is
was
good.
at home.
Oh, I
And,
get. I know.
we're going to find out on Saturday.
I
with
know.
South
That's what I'm
Carolina
saying.
coming
This
to town.
is kind of in that same regard. This is gut check time. And I never would have thought in this little stretch, because I figured they would beat Arkansas. I figured they would at least play Ole Miss tight. I figured they'd win a couple more games that they shouldn't. I never thought that I'd be looking at the schedule and saying that South Carolina is a must-win game now. And it just turned into that. Like, literally. Because if you lose this game, there's a good chance that you might play on the bubble down the stretch and have to win some games to actually get in the
I'm
tournament.
telling you, the way they looking, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I
mean,
said it.
It's a
I'm
real.
not so sure if they keep playing the way they are playing defensively, and if they keep losing these games, we've lost 4 out of 5.
I'm going to tell you something that Pope did that I liked in the second half. Did you not notice he went to a zone and kind of disrupted Ole Miss?
Yeah, he did.
I think he needs to do that more often. No, Wyman, I'm not saying the bubble, but what I'm saying,
I disagree, Wireman. If we keep losing these games and we only win 2 or 3 games and we've only won 6 or 7 games in the SEC, I'm not sure that we make it.
I think the biggest thing holding their water right now is those 7 quad 1 wins. If it wasn't for those wins,
it's an illusion, guys. If they keep playing the way they're doing and losing the amount of games that they're doing, that is nothing but an illusion.
We better be thankful that Kentucky went on the road and beat Tennessee last week, because this would be ugly. You know, staring down the barrel of a 4-game losing streak.
5
actually, if you count
Alabama. 5.
If you count the Alabama game. Last Saturday, or was it Saturday, a week ago?
We lost 2. Beat
no.
Now we've lost.
It was Vanderbilt.
45.
But at the end of the day, I don't know, man. It's Pope's going to have to figure something out. And he said something tonight that kind of was, I don't know what he meant by this, but I guess he said something to the fact that here at Kentucky we don't take moral victories. And I don't know what he really meant by that. I'm guessing
maybe playing in the second half better or something. I don't know.
I'm guessing.
I don't know what the question was, so I can't tell you for sure.
But he did say something on the post-game show. He said, we're certainly facing some renovated roster challenges for sure, but we'll find answers. Well, you got South Carolina coming Saturday, and that, to me, that's a winnable game, okay? You better find some answers quick, because you got Tennessee coming Tuesday night at home, and then you got to go back on the road against Texas. You better find your answers quick and in a hurry, because if you don't, this bad boy is going to be like rats on a sinking ship, man. And it's not going to just be
guys. We can sit and fluff this all you want to, and lean on their 7 quad 1 wins and 6-1 record against ranked teams and all that crap if you want to. But I'm going to tell you right now, when you look at 4 of the last 5 as losses, and you look at what could potentially keep happening, it's not great at all.
It's not. Madam says I'm afraid to watch. So I'm afraid to watch.
Wireman, I hope you're right, because right now I have a bad sinking feeling in my gut.
about all this. Yeah.
And I'm not playing.
This is the lowest that we've really been all year. And I think people need to understand that we peaked probably in November. That was the best Kentucky you'll probably see. The Duke wins, the Gonzaga, that's about as good as they're really going to be this year. But because like you said, Brett, early, the individual players that they got, they're just not as talented as some of these other talented teams.
I mean, I did say that, and I didn't mean it to say anything against this team.
Oh, no, they're
early
not.
I think early on when we were healthy and everybody was coming together, I think we were showing what we could be. But
when this team's healthy, I think they can play with anybody.
But I think having players out and missing time and missing that chemistry and missing those substitution patterns and having to scramble and do everything in substitution patterns and all of that is taking a toll on this team.
It has. Man, we had a bunch on here tonight.
We did. I appreciate it, guys. We're going to end it. Yeah, the Big Fuss Show was mainly a fuss about Kentucky tonight, to be honest with you.
Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out. Hallie Collins was on here tonight. I'm guessing she's floating. I think she's floating in the fact that we lost because she's a Vols fan, by the way. I like to pick at it.
If I'd have known that, I wouldn't even allow it. He didn't tell me that.
Oh, my goodness.
Lord have mercy.
I give her some grace. I like to pick at her.
There is no grace with Tennessee, not with me. I'm going to tell you that right now. No grace.
Oh, goodness. Oh, Brad.
There is no grace with Tennessee, period. Nada.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, man. I'm going to end this up.
We will see you. Wyman came in right in the slip of time and said something about tongues, man. Like he knows when to stir up the pot. I don't know. We have to figure this out with the guys we have right now. That's what we're focused on, he said.
This is a Pope quote that Wireman has put in here from tonight.
He just keeps saying, I don't know. Like, there's something not right about all this.
So, anyways, we will see you guys on Friday night for our Game Day Pick'em show. We're part of Stadium Rant. Find us on Stadium Rant. Look at our articles on Stadium Rant. We've been writing some really great stuff covering the women's. And we will talk more about the women's stuff later in the week. And we had Deja Lawrence's mother on with us at the beginning of the show. So that was pretty great.
Awesome. Learn some grace, Brad. Have some grace. Have some grace.
No. I'm sorry. I have the Mamba mentality. There's no grace in the Mamba mentality.
Oh, goodness.
Hammonds, I don't know when you're going to learn this, but there is no grace in the Mamba mentality.
No, balls to the wall.
I posted a video today. It might have been on my page about Kobe. When he was practicing with players on the like AAU circuit. Go watch it. There's no grace.
He's the GOAT. Kobe's the GOAT.
He said, if you're going to play and you're going to carry my name, you're going to hustle and you're going to touch every line.
Yep.
Go watch it.
That's what he said.
All right. I don't have time for grace. I have time for Mamba. That's what I have time for. All right, guys. We will see you guys on Friday night for our Game Day Pick'em show. This has been the Big Fuss Show, College SportsCast. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good one.
Can I please have your attention?
What's all the commotion around here?
What are you talking about?
It's actually very exciting.